All right. So I am Julie York with the Upshur County Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. I'm the Family and Community Health Agent, and this series is called Stress Less with Mindfulness. And I'm going to, I was trying to upload a document in chat and it didn't want to let me, so I don't know what was happening. There says waiting room participants. Oh, okay. All right. So basically this series, like the series talks about how to be in the moment, how to pay attention to the moment, how to breathe, how to just change your focus when everything gets all crazy. And so I've got lesson 1 recorded. I did the whole thing yesterday and I can send you the link to that so you can watch that one. It's kind of neat. I went ahead, I wasn't going to click to play the video of this little man. Don't ask me where he is. But he's all into, I think he's one of the creators of the mindfulness movement. And he's just so sweet, and he has you do some different things. And like I said, in any of this, it's definitely not going to take place of any counseling or any medical needs you might have. But this is a way to take control over what you can control. And so that is your thoughts and your breaths and things like that. So I'm going to give you a moment. I know it's hard when you're outside. I'm going to start the PowerPoint and share that, and then give you a moment with the, is it sharing? There we go. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. And we're not going to worry about those because I'll talk to you about those in a minute. But this little video, we're not going to do the whole thing. Well, it is 3 minutes. We can probably do the whole thing. But it's Susan J. O'Grady.
This 3-minute mindfulness meditation is often taught as part of a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy group or class. Taking just 3 minutes out of your busy life can often help you to disengage from the autopilot of your mind. When we are on autopilot, we may not be aware of being in the present moment. So if you'd like, take this time to experience a taste of mindful presence. Take a posture that is relaxed and dignified, with your back and neck in alignment, letting go of any tension that you feel in your muscles, and just letting your body express a sense of being present in this moment. The first step is being aware of what's going on with you right now, becoming aware of what's going through your mind. What thoughts, feelings, or perceptions are present now? Here again, as best you can, just noting the thoughts as mental events. Noting them, and then also noting the feelings that are around this moment, particularly turning toward any sense of discomfort or unpleasant feelings, rather than trying to push them away or shut them out. Just acknowledge them, and perhaps thinking, there you are. That's how it is right now. And similarly, with sensations in your body, either sensations of tension, holding, or whatever may be happening in your body, just awareness of them, simply noting them and saying to yourself, that's okay, that's how it is right now. Once you have a sense of what's going on now, you will have stepped out of that focus on the movements of your breath and gather yourself, focusing attention on the movements of the belly with the breath, the rise and the fall of your abdomen, focusing attention on the movements of your belly. As it rises on the in-breath
I was like, why'd she stop
and
talking?
as it gently falls on the out-breath. Just moment by moment, breath by breath, as best you can. So you know when the breath is moving in and when it's moving out. Gathering yourself using the anchor of your breath to be present in the moment. And now allow your awareness to expand, being aware of the breath and also awareness of your body as a whole, allowing for a more spacious awareness, a sense of the body as a whole, including any tightness or sensations relating to any holding of your neck or your back or face. Following the breath as if your whole body is breathing, holding it all in this slightly softer, gentler, more spacious awareness. And then when you're ready, just allowing your eyes to open and take this sense of spaciousness with you as you move throughout your day or evening.
All right. Sorry, I clicked. I was moving my mouse and I guess I clicked to pause her for a second. I love taking that couple of minutes that she has those moments of quiet pausing. And if you know me, I don't do a lot of quiet pausing. So when she paused too long, I was like, wait a minute, what did I do? Froze that up a little bit. But she talks about breathing, and one of the things I talk about in the lesson 1 is the best way to breathe for your body to filter oxygen. And I'm assuming that you know, but just in case, when you are trying to focus on just your breathing, then you breathe in through your nose with your mouth closed, like that. And then when you blow out with, like, make a hole and blow out like you're blowing out a candle, like that. And I used to have a classroom of 22 kindergartners, and if they were all like, they're coming to the carpet and they were just wound up, they needed to calm down after maybe coming in from recess or something, I would have them do that, maybe 4 or 5 breaths. And they would hold out their finger like they were blowing a candle, and that you could feel the energy just release, because your body is processing the oxygen. You're getting more pure oxygen and you're releasing better carbon dioxide and less oxygen when you blow out in a specific way. So she mentioned that. And then she mentioned to turn toward the sensation of holding your tension. You want to acknowledge that it's there and just say, this is how it is, and accept it and not be judgmental. That's one thing that we talk about. not judging yourself for getting upset about something, but just being, okay, I'm upset about this. So you get yourself in that mindset, and then you can turn into the mindfulness activities and step out of your autopilot. And they talk about autopilot being, that is how you automatically react to something. If somebody says something or something's happening, you know, there's automatic ways that you've just been conditioned over time to react to them. So by being aware and acknowledging whatever situation is going on, and then changing your thoughts, that is something you can physically do, is change your thoughts. Then you're in control and you have power, and you can physically affect yourself. So in mindfulness, we use soft, gentle awareness, which her voice is so soft and sweet. I'm just not. But if you see or hear yourself having self-judgment, you need to just take a breath of that and let it go. So mindfulness is paying attention. It's on purpose, and it's in the present moment of here and now with a non-judgmental attitude. So it's about each moment and the power of simply bringing an open and receptive attitude of acceptance to our experiences. So our objectives for this lesson, like I said, if you go back and watch the video, I've got it up on YouTube and I will do it. We're going to do that activity in just a minute, Corey, actually. You have the orange, so we could have just had you do it. But keep that orange. Don't break into it yet. So we're going to learn benefits of eating with mindfulness, mindful awareness, and we're going to create a personal hunger fullness scale and experience mindful eating. So it has the potential to improve our health and our relationship to food. And I'm going to say it several times. You want to eat to live. So put things in your body that help you live better than live to eat. I mean, a lot of people, you know, that's, yeah, living to eat is probably, and I heard that, I don't know, about 8 years ago, 6 years ago or something, and it just really made an impact on me. So when is some time that you may not have a healthy relationship with food? Just thinking about that. When is there a time when you're just like, food is the main
stressed,
activity?
argue with your spouse.
Okay. What about when holidays happen? You know, holidays are a happy time. People are coming over. You've got all this food there. How often do you like not really follow what you're supposed to do during those times? Marie's going, yeah.
Most people really pig out.
What'd you say, Marie?
Oh, I'm sorry, Corey. Go ahead, honey. I said, can I eat is what I said.
Yes, you may eat right now. You may, but actually the next activity, we're going to do something.
Oh, so I'll wait. Go ahead,
hold
Corey.
on, there you go. So what you're going to do is, I've got some raisins right here, and you can hold up your orange or your food or whatever. But what I want you to do, and this is just a fun experiment, but what you want to do, there you go. And I've got a raisin activity, like a sheet, but I have these craisins in the fridge. So mindfulness is not about paying more attention, but rather shifting your attention to paying attention more wisely with the whole mind and your heart, using all of your senses. So, and I will say, like, if you want to remember something, I was at the one reason I have the ocean in the background, and I'm going to take this scarf off because it's actually really hot. This lady wove it. She did that in her house and wove it. It's beautiful, but it's hot. And, you know, in the mornings I can use it. In the afternoon, I'm like, no. But when I was at the beach, when I was 19, 18, I made sure when I was not going to be going back to San Salvador, Bahamas anytime soon. So I sat on the beach away from everybody else, and I took just a few minutes and I thought about the smell I was smelling, the view I was looking at, the sounds, the taste, and an ocean gets in your mouth, that taste of salt water and the feeling of the sand and everything. So experiencing, having some kind of experience where you encompass all of your senses, that's going to make more of an impact on you. So this activity, you can take whatever food you've got with you, and I want you to look at it and look at the color, look at the consistency, the shape, then smell it. Smells like cranberries. And then mine doesn't really have a sound. If I break it open, it's quiet, which is probably what I need more of anyway, quiet food. And then taste, what does it taste like? The sweet, with a little bit of sour to it too. That's why people like cranberries. And then feeling, it was soft. It wasn't crunchy. Now I will say, for people that are dieting, a lot of times when your body hears crunching, you get that sensation of crunching and your stomach's like, oh, we're eating, we're having food, we're getting fuller. So if you eat,
I like the crunching.
chomp on carrots, and that will tell your stomach, it'll fill your stomach to say, hey, we're eating full food. I mean, and it's good for you. So when you're doing that activity, what did you notice about your food? Did you pay more attention to your food?
Yes, notice the flavor, the consistency, how much was in my mouth at one time.
Marie?
Instead of normally grabbing a whole, thing, whole spoonful or whatever, and shoving it in my mouth because I'm busy trying to do other things at the same time. I put just a couple raisins in my mouth instead of grabbing like a whole handful of whatever.
Right. Marie, are you really outside, Marie, or are you at your desk?
No, I'm outside.
Are you really? I want to come out there with you.
Lindsay, this is Camp Gilmont. Oh, you know what's happening? I did some kind of setting.
I was like, is that Camp Gilmont behind you, or is that just random?
Yeah. So here's what I did. I was messing around one day because my friend had something in the back like you do. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I can do that. So it's a picture of Camp Gilmont, and I'm actually sitting under trees that look like my background, but I fooled myself. Okay. Yeah, that's really funny. I just am having a senior moment right now because that's funny. Okay. So yeah, I'm having these beets.
And they have a strong oat smell.
Yeah. And these pickled okra, as Sue calls them. And I put, instead of having my saltines on the side, I ground them, I kind of crumbled them and put them in my salad like Miss Putt used to do.
Oh, okay.
With her homemade ranch. And I added some cilantro because, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person. I like, if every meal could taste a little bit like Mexican food. Hey, why not? Yeah, but just slowing down the awareness is important. What you're explaining.
That has a lot of smell, a lot of odor to it, and I'm sure a variety of flavors when you pop that in your mouth.
Yeah,
So when
for
you were focusing on your food, did your mind wander to other things, or were you focused?
No, it didn't last very long. So the space that you had for me to really dive into it was short because you didn't give me much pause, but I think I was going there. So I think the idea that it takes a minute to like come away from what Corey said was like, she's used to like eating and continuing to work, and you can get away with that. You can get away, like, we're women, we could probably do like a bunch of stuff at once, but should we? And just your challenge to be present with food was kind of what I heard. And yeah, so all of a sudden I was like into it, and I was looking at all the textures, and I was considering all the different flavors and the smells. And so, yeah.
Right. So your mind is focused on that food, and the whole rest of the world is out of your mind. So that's the whole point of that activity, is to make you like, in a day, when you've got all these things going on, if you can take a few minutes, and like you said, I mean, it doesn't have to take but 20 seconds to just focus on that food. I mean, you want to work up to like 10 minutes a day of being just mindful of the moment. And so this is learning to gauge your hunger. This goes into the other section of, there's a mindful hunger fullness gauge. And I'm so mad because like I said, I should be able to put these in the chat, but hold on. There you go. I'm going to email it to you both, but it's basically, there we go. Can you, I'm wondering how you can do that.
How you put it in the chat?
No, it just wasn't letting me be,
No, it's because of your background.
No, yeah.
I had that problem before when I was trying to do some Zoom classes, and I had a virtual background, and I couldn't show anything other than, unless of course I took off the virtual background.
Yeah.
Now I would like to know though, because I went to Guatemala a few times, and I would love to be able to have some of those pictures I took in Guatemala as my backdrop.
Right. Well,
I would like to know how do you do that?
I did that on my phone.
Really?
And I feel like choose virtual. I don't have it on here, but yeah, there is a way to upload, like there's a little plus sign, add an image or video, and you can do that.
Okay. I'll look that up again then.
This is the mindfulness gauge, and the speedometer dial gives a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being completely empty, ravenous, you're starving, can't function.
Wow.
And then 10 being overstuffed. So what it wants you to do is become more mindful of your body sensations of hunger and fullness. And that can help you enjoy your eating more and enjoy your sense to savor your food. So what it wants you to do is take some minutes to practice mindful breathing with your eyes closed, literally like 20, 30 seconds, like I'd say 5 breaths, just very slow. And if you close your eyes, then you're tuning out all the stimuli that would come in through your vision. And so then you think about your stomach while you're doing that. You're like, okay, am I really hungry or am I thirsty? That's always a key that we always talk about nutrition. Sometimes your hunger is really you're thirsty. And so maybe some water will help satisfy you. But you want to notice your sensations and signals that your body are giving you regarding physical some stomach hunger. So so then you just kind of look on there and you kind of, because you all can be eating while we're doing this, but it would be ravenous to I'm too hungry to I'm hungry, but didn't really need to eat yet. Maybe what I ate earlier didn't fully satisfy me. So I'm not starving, but I could always eat. And that's really not a good time to eat either. Then a neutral, I'm not hungry, I'm neither way. And then on the 7-ish time, looking, it's like no longer hungry, I could eat more. And then the 8 to 10 is like, I'm full. And then 10 is stuffed. I ate way too much. I'm uncomfortable. And you don't want to eat to that comfortable stage. So I'll email these to you guys. And then I can give you this app. This one.
Have you ever done the naturally slim?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the naturally slim, they have where you eat at certain numbers too. You want to make sure your hunger is at a certain particular number before you eat.
Right.
So
and you don't want to be so hungry when you eat.
Right.
That's when you make bad choices.
Exactly. Right. That is so correct. Yes.
Okay. So you want to, again, live to eat.
Nor do you want to go to the grocery store when you're super hungry.
I have driven through and gotten something to eat before I went, just so I'm not hungry walking through, because I went in with for 4 or 5 things, and I came out with $60 worth of stuff, and my husband's like, what's all this? I said, I don't. And that's also why I like to do Berkshire's. Now that from COVID, the positive thing is the app where you can stand in your kitchen and order exactly what you need and have them, pull up and they'll bring it out to you. I don't have to walk in that store and buy stuff I don't need. So that has helped a lot. But the gauge that I'm going to share with you can help you discover your cues and learn to use that useful information, learn to use that information, I can read, to decide when to eat and when to stop eating. So paying mindful attention will help you not to become too hungry or too full. And, if you're going too full side, then you'll gain weight, and then you're overriding your cues, and then you have to deal with that. So the one thing I will say is put up your fist, make a fist. That's the regular size of a stomach. They can stretch up to, and I'm not going to hold one up because I don't buy them, 2-liter bottles. They can stretch up to the size of a 2-liter bottle. So that's a lot. That's a massive stretch. But can you imagine how uncomfortable it would be? I mean, like, to have that regular size stomach stretched to a 2-liter bottle, that is uncomfortable. And that's what you're doing when you become uncomfortable. You're stretching it to where it doesn't want to stretch anymore. So people who chronically overeat have changed the set point of their stomach, and they need to retrain their body and brain to sense fullness. So obese people would think that 9 or a 10 is a norm, and when actually experts recommend stop eating when comfortably full. So how do you get to that point? One thing is they've talked about drinking just 6 to 8 ounces of water before you eat. That will help put something in your stomach to help, get you started, because it takes about 20 minutes for your stomach to trigger and tell your brain, you're done. Also, it says mindfully eating a healthy snack before a meal helps you feel satisfied. So that's why they have appetizers, but most of the appetizers are not always that healthy in restaurants. But you could have, like, an orange 30 minutes before you eat dinner, or, some kind of some fruit or something that would fill you up a little bit.
That's why they serve the salads first, isn't it?
It is, if you're doing the right thing. If you're doing the right thing, that is the salad coming first. But and that's hard when I'm like, I want that salad, but I really when I'm out, because I don't eat a ton at a time, I would rather eat what is fresh that I can't reheat. So the salad is definitely, I will go and I'll eat the salad and maybe my dessert if it's really good, because I don't want to eat it later. And I'll take my main dish home. I'll eat some of the appetizers and things like that and eat it later. So that's just one thing that I've done. Because you can't really, like, eating a salad late, it'll go bad in my refrigerator. I need to eat it when I'm right there, when it's fresh and especially if you put some of the dressing on it, then it gets soggy. So might as well eat it all. Okay, so this is talking about mindful eating. You're looking at the My Plate. But they're taking the My Plate. They're also looking at observe, notice your body grumbling, your low energy, or you're, just observing where your body is at that moment. Savoring, notice the texture, aroma, flavor. Is it crunchy, smooth, spicy? In the moment, turn off the TV, step away from your desk, go in the other room and focus on the food that you're eating. When you eat, just eat.
That's something that I'm having a hard time with my stepdaughter. She's got a 2-year-old, and she puts some cartoon on her cell phone or something for him to watch while he's eating. And I'm like, no, he's going to get to where he can't eat unless he's watching TV, or every time he watches TV, he's got to eat. And I said, that's not a good thing for him to be learning, but she does it every time. He's 2.5 now, the boy, And I'm just afraid that when he gets older, that's all he's going to want to do is sit in front of the TV and eat. And, you know, that's it's not
Right. Right. No, yeah, she really, that would behoove her to, I figured out while you were talking, I was listening, but I figured out how to add the fullness gauge and the raisin activity. So they're in the chat box. No, it is something, because she needs to be having a conversation with him at mealtime. That's a big deal about, I mean, Head Start. When I taught at Head Start, we had to sit at the table with the kids and eat the same food they were eating. And if we wanted to eat more later, we could, but we needed to show them how you were supposed to behave at the dining room table. And so, because a lot of them go home and the parents are like, here, you know, eat whatever. So, but we also tell them that this is what we do because we want you to do it at home. And so, so basically, you know, observing, you want to see, because another thing too, if I get hangry, that's the current term right now, the slang is hangry. If I start getting my, you know, too hungry, I'm going to get emotional and get out of my way till I get something. And then I'm going to get the fastest thing I can instead of, you know, the best for me. Now, luckily there's a Subway next door and their salads are amazing. But it's way too much for me to eat at one time. If y'all haven't tried the Subway salad, they basically any sandwich you want, put it in there without the bread, chop it all up. Here you go. You're like, okay. Then the non-judgmental, notice anytime any guilt comes into your mind. If you, you know, maybe your plate is not half full of fruits and vegetables like it should be. Because on the My Plate, they want to see half of your plate fruits and vegetables, a quarter of it whole grains, and a quarter of it protein. And then the dairy is added, either milk or cheese or whatever. And so we want you to be aware of the quality of the food that you put on there. And just if this is what you're having to do right now, then just pay attention to it and feel less guilty. And also, if you're taking the time to really pay attention to what you're eating, then the unhealthy options will slow down because you'll be paying more attention to what you're doing. Does that make sense? So let's see. Okay. Is it going to move? There we go. All right, so you want to, these are the basics. There's a BASICS of mindful eating. So you want to do a belly check before you eat. You want to take the 5 breaths and you want to notice if you have any sensations of hunger or if it's, are you just bored or stressed? You know, sometimes like, well, I'm going to eat like another hour. I'm just, I want, you know, there's all kinds of reasons for having that I want to eat moment. Then assess or check out your food. So what does your food look like? Notice the colors. Does it look appealing? What does it smell like? Use your senses. Now, here's the other question. Where does it come from? Is it natural and unprocessed, or is it highly processed? Is this the food you really want to eat? Okay, then slowing down. The reason I'm doing this whole series is because I really need this. I mean, I shake my keyboard because I eat at my desk so much. There's tons of stuff in there. I'm sure I need to unscrew it and take it apart. But it will help if you slow down, it'll help you enjoy the food that you're eating and be able to tell your body will be able to tell you when you've had enough. So, the other thought is putting your fork or spoon down between every bite, physically letting go so that you have to actually pick it up and then breathing between bites. It does work. Investigate your hunger throughout the meal. Keep bringing your attention back to your eating, tasting, and assessing your hunger or fullness throughout the whole meal. So just being investigative. And then chewing your food. Let's see, hold on. Halfway through your meal, you may discover you're no longer hungry, even though there's food on your plate. oh no, what am I going to do? Well, you're going to take it and you're going to go put it back in the fridge if you're at home, or you're going to get a to-go container and take it home. Now, the only thing I have to say about to-go containers is I teach food safety. And if you're going to eat at dinner at a restaurant before you go to a movie's going to be 2 hours. So that food, if you think about what time it left its heating source in the kitchen to come to your table, you sat there and ate, and then how long does it take you to get home? What are you doing before you get home? You don't really want food poisoning, so it's better sometimes just to leave it and let it go. But you know, it depends on what you're doing. So there's been times, and it killed me to leave food at the restaurant when I could have taken a to-go box, but I left it. And then give yourself permission to stop or continue eating, depending on and you may sit there a little while and think, okay, I'm probably okay, because sometimes meals last a long time. And then
I take my food home a lot of times because I can't eat it all in the restaurant. And I figured that's kind of, I mean, I paid for that meal. And so I figure I can just take that home and eat it at my leisure at another meal, you know, put it in the refrigerator, of course. And and that way I'm not feeling like I'm wasting money.
Right.
And I'm not wasting food, you know, because that's one of the things when, I don't know, on my age, our parents are always, you know, you ate every piece of food
every
on that
bite
plate.
on that plate, clean that
That's
plate.
right. You're not getting away from that table until you're finished eating, right?
Well, when I go to restaurants, those meals that they put on your plate, they can last you 2 to 3 months. So
absolutely, because they give you way too much food in most places.
So chew your food thoroughly. The more you chew, the more easily your body can process the food. So that also takes more time. I mean, I don't know. I'm never going to count the number of times I chew my food before I swallow it. But the more you do chew it up and swallow more, you're doing the first part of breaking down that food. So you will notice your hunger dissipating sooner, and sense of fullness will register in your body by doing that. And the sooner you're aware of being full, the less likely you will overeat. So, and then the last part was savoring your food. If you're eating food you really like, then and that would satisfy you right now, but you want to pick foods that honors your body and your taste buds. I like the way they said that. Food that's going to honor your body and that you're going to enjoy. So you just want to be present, fully present for the experience of eating, and take pleasure in the experience through all your senses. So remember, digestion also works best when you're less stressed. And that's she's talking about in the chat box, she talked about the Naturally Slim program. Okay, so then the next slide is internal cues. So this is going to be different for everybody. You just have to train yourself to find out what your internal cues are. And then external cues, overweight people tend to use external cues more than internal cues. So what do you think about, we just mentioned the whole plate is empty. You're going to eat until that plate's empty. Or like lunch break, it's time for lunch break. Well, I may have eaten breakfast at 10 because I was doing some other stuff and I didn't get breakfast till 10. I'm not ready for lunch at noon. So just because it's lunchtime and people are going to lunch, I can't go with them because I'm not going to do that. Now the TV show's over. She's sitting there has the remote in her hand and eating a bowl of chips. I'd like to do that, but that's really not very smart. Mindful eating, is it? Because she's just putting stuff in her mouth. And I'll give you the worst example of this. Driving. On my way to Brownwood, I stop at Buc-ee's sometimes. I don't do this anymore because I every single time. If I buy a bag of Buc-ee's nuggets, and there's probably, I don't know, I have not looked lately. I don't remember. There's not more than.
I love Buc-ee's nuggets.
Yeah, like 10 servings or something in there. There's a bunch of servings in that bag. And they don't have small bags. They have big bags. And I'm like, Okay, well now I can actually make it last for days, but I have gotten to Brownwood, which is 4.5 hours from here, and go, who ate those? I'm just driving along and I'm just eating it and I'm not paying attention. And then I'm like, oh, I need to go walk from here to Abilene or something to burn that off. Walk around Texas to burn all that off. But yeah, I mean, just when you're driving, that's a lot of another, mindless eating opportunity that you have.
Well, Julia, I do like you do. I eat by my computer a lot. And even when I'm home, I do that too. And so, yeah, I'm always having to clean out my keyboard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Y'all have a
Yeah.
special place you could go eat, even if you bring your lunch.
I can come out there.
You can come here.
Yeah. I come out
But do
there.
you have a place you can go that's comfortable?
Oh, I can go to that table right there.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable.
So I was just thinking about sharing something, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if it-
go ahead.
So my daughter married a German, and in Germany, they're super intentional about sitting at table and sharing. And there's a whole rhythm of life that's built around
Meals.
table gatherings, the meals, the afternoon coffee with a piece of cake, and it's a big deal. And so anyway, I started thinking about how much I enjoyed that and how special it was. And so I found in my grandmother's things, I found these little cup towel things that are decorated, embroidered by her. And I pack one of those with my lunch, and I pack something nice to put, to eat with, to like, not just, it's a little more intentional, I guess is the word. And I started this last year using my lunch to be a space for learning something or doing something that I cared about, that personally, like, kind of selfish.
No, that's what you have.
But it's just been so good for me. I don't do it every day, but I try to do it at least 3 days a week.
And you
And it's
set
been-
up a little area to put your food on and make it a pretty setting and just celebrate you.
I have a blanket. I can do it on the ground. I can go to a picnic table, or I've even done it in my office and just sat and made myself a little space on the floor in my office and shut the door and played some music or watched a little video. I'd watch webinars. I just do things
that you want to do.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be like a work webinar. It can be anything. Yeah. And they talk about the number of screen hours of screen time that you're supposed to have. And I'm like, but sometimes, a lot of the world is on the screen. So I think there should be a differentiation between how much work or school screen time you have and pleasurable screen time. I mean, I know that, my TV in my living room is far away, but sometimes I just want to detox from the day and watch something for 30 minutes or whatever, an hour, and then go do something else. No, I love that idea. And that's why I think you're awesome, Marie. So here's on this environmental factors. People overeat and put too much in because of the package size. If you look on the back of most packages, it's going to have more than one serving in there. But how many servings do you actually eat? Now, it's okay to eat more than one serving. It's just if it's, budgeted in your day. Also, the plate size or shape. And what they didn't say is also is the decoration, the design that's on a plate. They say you need to get just something light around the rim and have a clear middle
what difference does it make, the shape of the plate? I mean, like, what if it's the shape of an animal or a round shape, or what? I mean, what do they mean by a plate shape?
I think because if you have a certain shape, a certain size, then you will be more apt to put the appropriate amount of serving on it, the serving size. Like, you're going to, depending on the shape of it, you may not put the correct size of serving food on
I
there.
know this
Well, the
is
size I understand, but the shape is what I don't.
Well, I mean, just depending on like, I have a square plate and it's kind of weird to,
Oh,
'cause we
okay.
do have 2 square plates at my house and it's weird. I mean, it's just, it throws you off a little bit because you're used to looking at a round plate and you can kind of judge what's putting on there.
Okay, all right.
Marie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Marie.
I was gonna say about the sizes, like just in planning for a group, like it really matters to pay attention because there's like that, there's a meal size, there's like a lunch size that's fine. And then there's this other size, and I'm talking disposable, of course, when you've got like a big picnic area, people at the camp, and there's that big Chinese thing that's like a platter
It is.
that like
And
you seriously, it would, so that's all.
no, I mean, I've seen those big platter things and it's like, I guess the people who created it, in my mind, they're thinking you can put your main dish and your dessert and everything on one plate instead of having a salad plate, a main plate, and a dessert plate. That's the only thing I can think that they were thinking with that. But chances are people are filling that sucker up with other things. So I get it. So then also the presence or socializing, the presence or absence of other people depends on the group you're with, if you're going to eat healthy or you're not going to eat healthy, or what you're going to be drinking with your food. Variety. I think it says something to do in the next couple of pages. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to skip that. But yeah, variety is important. If you get into a rut of eating the same thing every day, then you get kind of bored with it. I know, and I'll say this, that my son, I gave him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in kindergarten, I guess it was first grade, so often that he's like, I don't really want that anymore, ever. I think he probably is okay with it now, but it was just kind of like that. I knew he'd eat it. Here you go.
Well, my family, I don't know if you know that I married a man from Guatemala. And so I have 2 of his children living with us too. And one of the baby or toddler of one of them. And so they have this mentality where you have to have like beans and tortillas and meat, and there's hardly no vegetables. And I'm like, you got to have your vegetables. I mean, beans are sort of a vegetable, but more considered a protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you still got your meat and your beans and the tortillas.
And the traditional food there is also includes onions and bell pepper.
Oh, yeah, but that's not the bulk of the meal, though. Yeah. The bulk of the meal. I mean, there may have a small little bit of onions or something. Yeah, but that's not the bulk of the meal. And the grandbaby, he's 2.5. He loves to eat things like carbohydrates. He loves carbohydrates, and he doesn't want to eat hardly anything else. He'll eat like potatoes in any form or fashion, mashed potatoes, fried potatoes, French fries, mashed potatoes, and of course rice, tortillas, bread, all that kind of stuff, he loves. But I can't hardly get him to eat. He will eat green beans, so he loves green beans.
Time. Yeah, it takes reintroducing over time. It'll happen. The last one on there is the bargain shopping. When you find things on sale, when you look at it and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to buy that because that's cheaper than the other thing I want. But what I tell people too is, especially when prepackaged foods and things like that, I'm looking at like there's vegetables that are already chopped up and ready to eat, or the little packages, they cost more. But if you'll eat them, if you don't have to do any prep and you'll open that and you'll grab that, open your fridge and grab that and eat it, it's worth the extra money. So this is where one of those triggers are with bargain shopping, because you're like, oh, well, I see that's really cheap right there. That's on sale, but I'm never going to take the time to actually prepare it the way I should. So that's where, I always recommend go ahead and just pay the little extra if it's something that you don't have to do any prep work to. as long as you can get it done, get it eaten. Okay, so emotional eating. I never emotionally, I'm just joking. So you could write down, if you wanted to, if some emotional triggers. What are some of the things that are emotional triggers where you're like, I'm going to just go to the fridge because I want to eat, or I'm going to go grab some chips because I want to chomp on something. Just, a couple. There's a few things right there: avoiding feelings, boredom, depression, distraction, should eat. And that should eating is eating when you really are not hungry, but you have pressures from other social or mental sources, and you're disconnected from your body awareness cues. We eat so much, just socially, or different activities, there's food. And we always joke with our programming, if you feed them, they will come. Well, not maybe in my county all the time, but feeding people, if people know that there's food that's going to be at a program, they're more likely to attend. Now, is it the time of day that they need to eat, or is it the right time or the right food for them? Maybe not, because they may have a medical condition that you're not providing for. But there is a difference between mouth hunger, which is emotional and mental, and stomach or physical hunger. So what do you want to share? You don't have to, but if you want to share just one of the triggers. I'll say, when I'm bored, I eat. That's one of the things. You don't have to share. Okay. You don't have to share.
When I'm in front of the computer.
Yeah, because you're just sitting still. Marie, do you have any emotional triggers? You don't have to share if you don't want to.
Emotional?
Or
yeah, maybe like it's more like when I'm like overtired. Like sometimes I'll come in later at night, and it's like I shouldn't really be hungry. I should be asleep right now, but I'll munch.
that's what happened during COVID.
Oh yeah.
People just kept eating because they were like, I'm awake. I don't have,
Yeah. There were like limited choices and maybe a little bit, I don't know, boredom maybe then, but I don't know, every now and then it seems like it's just a thing that I'm doing, and it's like, maybe I could be doing something different than just,
maybe I need to take up crocheting. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we've got the eating food worth eating slide. You want to eat food that's connected to its source. It's better for you if you do eat food that's connected to its source and it's not processed. So you want to eat seasonal food. That also gives you variety throughout the year. If you're eating seasonal food, it's going to be more fragrant because it's fresher. You're looking at the tastiness, hot food in the winter, cold food in the summers, checking out your farmer's market, or just even if you don't have like a specific farmer's market, getting to know who in your community grows their own food. I get flustered when I think I'm helping a local farmer when they went and bought the food somewhere else from a buyer, and they're just selling it. Like, they didn't grow the watermelons on their trailer. They went and bought them somewhere and they're selling them. So I want to know the food that is grown in my county. And it also will help with your allergies, because you've got the bees have pollinated and things have happened and it's grown in your area. So it's healthier for you to have your local food. And so it's the same thing with eating to live, not living to eat. Are you eating to nourish your body? Are you respecting yourself? I like that phrase from earlier. High nutrient foods are better choices than empty calories. Diet drinks are not the best. We've all known that, because they leave us hungry in a shorter time. So maybe choose an apple over a bag of chips. And I went, and I need to write it down or I'm never going to remember to do it. But I went to a gas station and I went through, and the manager told me I could go, or owner. And I took pictures of typical foods that you find in gas stations that are okay to eat. like they're much more healthy, like bags of peanuts or banana. A lot of gas stations now will carry a banana on the counter, or, maybe you're having to pay $1 for that banana, but oh, well, it's 35-40 cents at the store. But did you buy one there? No, but you'll eat it now. So you're paying a little more, but you're going to eat it. So, but there's cheese sticks. And yes, I have bought the hard-boiled eggs that they have in gas stations. I only had one bad one, and it was like, before I got out the door, I was like, oh, this is not good. And they gave me my money back. They're like, do you want another one? I'm like, no, not those. But I mean, I started doing that actually at Buc-ee's because I was trusting of Buc-ee's. And I'm like, there's no point. I mean, I need protein, and that's a solid thing of protein for my brain. So yes, I do eat some of those hard-boiled eggs sometimes. If I'm looking for something and I know if I'm hungry, I need protein. And try something new when you're in the grocery store for that variety. Like when you're at the grocery store and you're in the produce aisle, you always get the same thing. Most of the time, 90% of the time, you get the same things over and over. Look around and go, you know what? I've never tried that kumquat over there or whatever. And just try something new, and you can find a recipe for it. I can tell you. And also dinnertonight.tamu.edu will probably have a recipe for anything in that vegetable section. So if you need to come back and watch this, just to scan to this part to get dinnertonight.tamu.edu website. I could type it. Actually, Laraciel or Corey, can you, or somebody want to type that into the chat box? It'll be there. And let's see, here's this is a little statement that I thought was very interesting because we were talking to grandparents and things. Michael Pollan's Food Rules has some ideas that fit well here. Don't eat anything that your great grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. So my grandparents came over from Poland. So there you go. I grew up on all that Polish food and all that German and all that kind of food. A lot of carbs in that, but they also burned them off by working hard outside all day. And then my mother's side came from Florida. We'll just leave it there. A lot of, shrimp. They were the shrimp capital. Apalachicola is a shrimp port of the US basically. So I love my shrimp. But anyway, so eat when you're hungry, not when you're bored. If it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't. That rules out some things. Okay, so then I'm almost done here. Let's see, quality versus quantity, portion distortion. I mean, think about those triple burgers at McDonald's. That's just one thing. When you're at anywhere, everything is bigger from 20 years ago. So it says that portion sizes have risen from 15 to 45% in the last 20 years. And so noting the portion size, and like I said, you also, you may eat more than one portion, one serving size, if it goes into your day, but you don't want to eat like 4 or 5 servings of that thing because you want to get a variety in your body. But sometimes people focus more on food choices than on their consumption volume of the chosen food, and it can lead to unmonitored, unintended, and not mindful results. So if you see it, smell it, and taste it, it can lead to healthier eating choices. And don't forget, your stomach is how big? How big is your stomach supposed to be, right? Size of a fist. And Laraciel, if you didn't know this before, how big can it get? Size of a 2-liter bottle. Like, oh. So it only takes about a palm full of food to fill your stomach. So that's why when they say a serving size of macaroni and cheese is the size of a computer mouse, I had children go, I can eat the whole box. I go, buddy, I can too, but a serving size is only this big. So, and then what's the palm is the size of a serving of meat. So we eat less when we use all of our senses, and we eat what we desire.
Could you repeat that website one more time, please, Julie?
I'll type it in. It's dinner tonight.tamu.edu. Oh, dinner tonight.tamu.edu. Oh, there, Corey got it. You got the www in there. Mine probably didn't pop up. Okay. Does that link, or is it HTTP? I'm not sure. Maybe you can copy and paste the link, open it up. Okay, so on this one, eating with contentment and satisfaction. So I'm gonna just throw out some answers here just to be able to wrap this up. But basically, you want to eat mindfully, stay aware of your body, the food that you put in it, and the atmosphere when you're eating. Minimize distractions, turn off the TV, maybe turn off your phone. Focus on the food. You don't have to turn off the phone, but put it down. Same with the computer. Walk away from your computer, walk away from those distractions. Sit at a table or somewhere separate from everything else that's going on. Savor each bite. Look, smell, and taste each bite, and listen to it. The crunch, like I said, you want to make sure you experience all five senses. Take your time and put your fork down between your bites. Engage all of your senses. Okay, there we go. And remember to eat when you're hungry. Eat what you're hungry for. Understand why you want to eat. Taste, smell, and sense every bite. Stop when you're no longer hungry, and slow down. Now, one thing that you also want to think about is putting in your head, if you have a special medical condition, of what foods you should not eat. But what I try to tell people with that is focus on the foods you can eat instead of what you can't, especially if they're newly diagnosed with like high blood pressure or diabetes or something like that. Focus on what you can eat, because my mother-in-law, when she was first diagnosed, she was so stressed over all the foods they told her she couldn't eat. She couldn't comprehend. Hold on. She couldn't comprehend what she could eat. So that was very frustrating for her. So she had a whole new life ahead of her. And then the steps to mindful eating: notice, shift, practice. So notice what your sensations are, your thoughts, your feelings when you're eating. You want to shift to a gentle appreciation of your food and of yourself when you're making all these choices, and practice daily mind awareness of eating. So notice, shift, practice. And last but not least, these are in ordinary activities. So choose to notice. Use routine activities as an opportunity to practice mindful acceptance. And then shift to gentle noticing of your sensations and practice your daily mindful attention as you move throughout your day. Now, this doesn't always, like when you're practicing and learning the mindfulness, it doesn't have to, this topic today was only on food, being mindful of your food. But like at the very beginning of the lesson, we talked about just breathing, how important it is to just breathe and be aware of the moment. If everything around you is spinning out of control, I'll tell you what I said in the first lesson, which I encourage you to go back and watch. But just taking your hand, and this is part of the arthritis exercise that I used to teach, but focus on your hand for a minute and just look at your hand and do these exercises with your fingers, and then the straight finger, and then rounded, and then do your, like, with moving these knuckles, moving these knuckles, moving your wrist. Literally, that was what, 20 seconds? And your mind changed from everything else that was going on around you. Just focus on something very simple that's in the moment, and that will help you become more mindful. And again, like I said, I think they want you to work up to about 10 minutes a day of mindful activities. So is there anything that you learned today that you want to mention? And or is there anything that you think you're going to try to practice this week? No.
Living to eat or eating to live?
You need to write that down and stick it on their
Yeah.
fridge. Yeah. Okay. And Marie muted herself for a little bit, so that's good. And Lauracielle's muted. So Marie, do you have any ideas of?
Yeah, so you said a lot. So I think just the intentionality, just the slowing down, being present with the food. Just like I want to be more present with people. I mean, it's a good reminder.
Yes, it is, definitely. And like any skill, the more you practice mindfulness, the more you have it when you need it. And then there's also ways to build your ability to stay calm, is using daily routines as an opportunity to practice mindful awareness. So there's all kinds of little things that you could do, even like when you're sweeping the floor, pay attention to what you're sweeping. Loading the dishwasher, don't think about anything but the actual activity that you're doing. And here's my food safety one. When you're washing your hands, focus on washing your hands. Take that soap or get your hands wet, get the soap, scrub in between your fingernails, scrub your nails on your palms of your hands. Focus on your hands while you're washing. It takes about 20 seconds to completely do it well. And then you go up to like your wrist. And that basically is going to help you be mindful and focus on your hands. So sometimes maybe if you're at work and it gets stressful or you're in a stressful situation, just go wash your hands and you'll have your mind think about that for just a minute.
Well, as a woman, it's difficult to focus on one thing, especially when you're doing something like loading the dishwasher or whatever.
But I want you to focus.
Yeah, because you got your mind going in 20 different directions at one time,
Well, that's why you're here for this class. So you can focus and take, like I said, just a few minutes a day and get in the moment, and it'll help.
That's what I need to do.
Train your brain. You got to train your brain. Yes, Marie, and we're done.
You can use it as a gratitude exercise as well. So as you're washing dishes, you can think about the thankfulness you have for the food you had, the time you had with your family to eat it. You can think about who grew it. You can think about lots of ways to incorporate gratitude. And that is another way to bring presence into things.
Very good. Yes. And Lauracielle, are you raising your hand or are you clapping?
Yay!
Actually, I was clapping. And one thing I was going to say, when Corey was mentioning how it's a challenge for a woman to load the washing machine, I know, like for me, when I have a lot on my mind, erasing thoughts, I got to do this and do that. It's easy for me to make a list. And if I make my list, then I'm not going to forget. And that helps me to get focused.
Right. That's right. All right. Well, I have the first lesson 1 recorded, and I can put that in, email that to you guys. And then I also, this is being recorded, so I'm going to stop recording now. Thank you for watching. Oh, wait. No, I stopped